Hey guys, welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel where we cover all things crypto from the perspective of a miner. So first off, Happy New Year's Eve to everybody, right? I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be doing stuff, so I doubt anybody's going to really watch the video today. But hopefully you catch it in the next coming days. So just want to do a video about goals, right? Goals I have for this coming year and things that I'm going to be looking at, right? So I know everybody's big on New Year's resolutions and all that kind of nonsense. I don't really do that. I just set up goals generally every year, right? I try to plan everything out and try to learn from things that I've done in the past and go from there, right? So whatever you want to call it, your goals, resolutions, whatever your thing is, this is what it's going to be about. So first off, I want to start with none of this is financial advice at all whatsoever, right? I'm just kind of putting out there things that I'm looking at, what my personal goals are, just to give you guys some ideas, right? It'll maybe let you rethink your goals or maybe, allow you to see things in a different light possibly, right? Just give you different ideas, right? It's always good to get different perspectives to see what's going on, right? So first off, the first big thing is, for me, accumulation. Big, big, big goal. That is the main goal for me this year. Accumulate and accumulate hard, right? The biggest thing you want to consider is why you are here. What are you doing here in the crypto space? What are your goals? How much do you believe in crypto, right? For those of the few of you guys who are still here because of how crazy this bear market's been, think about that. Remember these past prices. Remember what it was like just last year, right? Even just last year at the peak, we all watched those old videos of people accumulating, 2 years before what those prices were and always dreaming, man, if Bitcoin hit this price, I'm going to go in crazy hard. This is that time, guys. This is that year, right? Typically, if we go by the 4-year cycle, the bottom is anywhere from November to this coming March. Sometime in that time frame. We may have bottomed already. We may get another new bottom. Time will tell, right? But do your research. Start planning. Like, I'm not all in yet. For the most part, I think we have almost bottomed, right? We hit that, 15.5. I think there's a chance we may hit, 13, 14, but we're so close to the bottom that anywhere near this price point, you're going to be pretty good, right? Again, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I'm doing, what I'm looking at, right? So I'm still DCAing, especially on these bigger price dips. Like right now, we've been having a nice dip. So I've been adding a little bit more. I'm not going all in yet, right? I want to try to have money throughout this whole year. Not going to go in unless we have, a black swan event or we get really hit really hard with this recession. So I am saving just in case we do have something there. So those are just things to keep in mind, right? Accumulate those different coins that you're looking at. Another big thing for me is to consolidate. So at this point, we've been in a downtrend for about a year now, right? At this point, you've been able to kind of get a ballpark for what trends are coming in, what projects you're liking. Start researching, start going harder into those. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of narrowing it down and I'm going harder into those. Instead of being spread so thin on all these coins, I'm going to go harder into the coins I do believe in, right? Into projects I have been DCing. Because essentially I've been mining for about 2 years now, but pretty much right from the get-go, I had this mindset that I'm just accumulating, right? Right from the beginning, I started researching hard, right? I went into crypto and then just went down that rabbit hole, and I still haven't really came back up, right? I've just constantly researched, constantly look at things, constantly get different perspectives, right? All the way from like the Moon Boys on YouTube to the Bears on YouTube. It's good to look at the whole, gamut of different perspectives, right? That's how you really truly learn. If you get stuck in one mindset, you're going to be stuck in there, right? Open your eyes up. That's another big goal for a lot of you miners that I would highly recommend is to broaden your horizons in the crypto world, right? I know a lot of us are in mining and we stick with mining coins, but open your eyes, guys. Look at different niches, look at different things, look at DeFi coins. I know a lot of people are against proof of stake and all that stuff, but a lot of those coins are what pumped. A lot of those coins are the reason that I made out decently well in this past bull market. Yes, I mined ETH primarily pretty much that whole time, but I also DCA'd into other things. I took some of those earnings and invested in other things, right? And I know a lot of people hate Solana and Avalanche and all these things, but that's the reason I was able to pay my rigs off so fast. You know, I was able to get in at Solana when it was at $30, Avalanche at $20. Those were my biggest gainers. If I would have just mined and held my ETH, I would have like maybe 4x at best, which I did. I still have a good chunk of ETH and I'm still holding on to it. But again, my biggest winners were going into different aspects, right? And that really, opened my eyes with things. So not saying to go all in on those things, but open your eyes, guys. Look at different things. There's so many coins that are so down from their previous all-time highs. It'd be good for you to look at, different things, right? Research them, see if any of them pique your interest. There's so many niches now, right? Anywhere from like these gaming projects to DeFi to, these Helium things with, setting up infrastructure. Broaden your horizons, guys. Look at different things. Another one of my goals for this year is I'm going to start going more aggressive, right? I've been fairly aggressive so far with accumulation, especially altcoins. This year I'm going to go a little bit harder, right? That's another goal of mine. I'm going to degen a little bit more than what most people do, especially into like miners. Wouldn't recommend doing exactly what I'm doing, but I am doing some more degen plays, especially with these newer ASICs. Been kind of slowly transitioning from like GPU mining to ASIC mining. I'm still keeping some of my GPUs, although I may sell off the majority just depending on what happens in the next few months. But I've been transitioning to ASICs, right? Because currently that's what's profitable, that's what's making money. And all those GPUs that I have there, pay themselves off a long time ago. And essentially is just transitioning those GPUs into the ASICs. That's all that's pretty much happening. So yeah, look at different things, guys, research. And then another big thing is to follow your gut, right? Do the research, get those perspectives, but overall, follow your gut, right? Look at those trends, see what's going on. If I would have followed my gut more, I would have been in a much better position. But I did get caught up, especially at the beginning of the year, into the hype that, we may not have such a bad bear market. I fell into that hype, right? If I would have gone with my gut and just followed the 4-year cycle like I kind of had been, I didn't go full on into either way. Luckily, I did sell off a good amount of coins. I did sell off a good amount of GPUs at their peaks, but I didn't do enough, right? And that's one thing I'm definitely learning. But again, follow your gut. Like to me, my gut is that if we didn't bottom yet, we're fairly close, especially with the bigger caps, especially with like Bitcoin, things like that. Altcoins, they're way more variable, right? There's still a possibility they may go down way more, but in reality, you got to look at where it's at compared to where it was before, right? Look at any of the coins right now. Look at like Kadena, for example. It's at like 80 to 90 cents. Even if it goes another 50% dip, what is 40 cents when the previous all-time high was like $25, right? You have to kind of start getting in that mindset. Even a 80% dip from 80 cents, it goes down to 20 cents. A 60-cent difference, considering this coin was at $25. If you believe it'll hit all-time high. In the long game, is it really that big of a difference? Or does it make more sense to kind of start going in a little bit more? And a little bit more, especially if we get more dips, right? So these are all things you kind of got to start really thinking about because, again, we've all seen those videos in the past of people accumulating at prices. This is that year. This is that time. If you've been thinking about going in hard, this is the year, guys. This is the year where you really want to focus on. May not be now, may not be next month, may not be the next 3 months, but it's going to be this year. This year traditionally is the bottom year, right? A lot of sideways action. Crappy as far as price action goes, but if you're looking at cheaper prices, this is that year, guys. So just remind yourself of that. Remind yourself of why you're here. Motivate yourself. Set goals up, right? Like I personally have written goals down of how much I want to accumulate. And I did that at the beginning of this past year. And because of how big those price dips were, I met most of my goals early on. I think by like August, September, I had met the majority of my bigger coin goals, right? So now based off of the current price action and looking at where it may drop, I, have a new set of goals now. And my goal this year, my personal goal, I'm going to go more aggressive this year. This is that year. I'm looking for like a big gain, right? These past bull market, I did okay with GPU mining, made some good passive income. But this coming year, I'm looking for more life-changing money, right? Not saying I'm become some millionaire or something like that, but I'm a believer, right? I'm super into crypto, super into it. I believe in it, and I know it's gonna happen, right? Everybody has their different mindsets. Some people are crypto's dead, it's a Ponzi. Do your research, right? If it's something you believe in, projects you believe in, go for it, right? Again, that's just me, not financial advice, right? So hopefully you got something from that, guys. All right, so let's look into some previous prices. Let's get a little reminder of how things were. So this is on Coin Market Cap. Have it just set up for biggest losers year to date. So this is not from the previous peak. This is just year to date. Luna, obviously, and the Solana, another big one. But look at other projects, right? Look at Phantom. Phantom's currently at 20 cents. All-time high was $3.48, right? Look at how big of a jump that is. It's what, well over a 15x. Even if it doesn't reach all-time high, let's say it only does half that. That's a 7.5x, right? Especially for these bigger coins. You have AVAX, same thing. It's at under 11 bucks. All-time high, $146. Okay? Algorand, another one. It's down to 17 cents. Was at 16 cents just a few days ago. Previous all-time high, $3.28. Right? Again, I know a lot of you guys are anti-proof of stake or anti any of those coins. Look at different things, guys. Broaden your horizons a bit. Right? Not saying to invest in those, but those are just things I look at. Not shilling, nothing like that. Just letting you know what I'm doing, what I'm looking at. Even in the, the proof of work world, right? Again, I just referenced Kadena. That's another one. Currently at 87 cents. All-time high over, about $24, right? Even if it only reaches half of that, guys, look at how big of a jump that is, potential-wise. Again, but you have to do your research. It has to be something that you're confident in, that you believe in, that you see something going forward, right? Whether it's that, another one is like Flux. Flux is one I'm personally bullish on, right? It's currently at 46 cents. It's been hovering in this 40 to 45 cent range. And even in the lows over the summer, this is about where it was, right? We did have this little run up towards the end of the merge, and then it went right back down, right? But previous all-time highs, again, it's at $3.12, right? Look at that price potential there. Okay, so again, this is the time to research, do your different things. Like another one, Ergo, currently at $1.20. Previous from this past bull market, 18 bucks, right? Again, even if it just reaches half, even if you're being super cautious, which I am, that's kind of my figure for it. So I'm looking half of the previous all-time high. Even at that point, look at how big of a jump it is. Okay? And then, again, set those accumulation goals and be realistic about it. I'm a miner, and let me set another thing straight. This is a big misconception as well. A lot of people have been thinking you're anti-mining if you're just buying the coin. A lot of people have given me shit about it, and I understand it. I've said it before, I'm super against mining at a loss. Because, again, my biggest goal is accumulation. I am trying to accumulate as much as I can, right? And if I'm able to get a discount through it by mining, because, I'm not at a loss, then I will definitely do that. But I will not mine at a loss because, again, I'm trying to accumulate as much as possible. That is my whole goal. And that is my whole reasoning behind it. Again, I am not anti-mining. This is actually a mining channel. I know a lot of the times it's negative towards these miners or these ASICs and these GPUs that are at a loss. But it's not because I'm anti-mining. It's because I'm anti-wasting your money. Again, my whole goal is accumulation. Okay? So keep that in mind. But again, guys, do your research. Look at those projects and narrow it down. Another big one in the proof of work world is Caspa. This is another one that I'm bullish on, but I've been buying it on these dips. Okay? I'm not mining it because the yield is so small compared to what it was. I'm going to make a lot more just buying when we have these downtrends. right? Especially right now. I was almost at the point where I was going to DCA again. I got lucky and bought some back in October, back when it was down here, bought a nice little bag. And that's what makes it hard to DCA when it's like 4x from what you originally purchased at. So I've been patient, I've been kind of waiting. I did a video when it was like right at its peak. And I did sell some at that point. It sold about like 75,000. But just with the pre-anticipation of buying it back cheaper, right? It didn't do all of it. Didn't put it all in there just in case we never went back down, right? That would suck also, selling some and then it never comes back down. But sold some and just waiting for it to dip a little bit lower, right? And again, if we have another dip, which we just got a little pump because of that Dagnite proposal getting funded. But yeah, so that's another one that I'm DCAing. I'm bullish on it, right? It's proof of work. Because again, this is another tidbit, the only like smaller cap coins I'm really going to be going into are mining related, right? And it's primarily Caspa. Radiant is another one I'm into. I'm not as bullish on Radiant, but I'm bullish on the community. I'm bullish on what it's doing. So far, it's had pretty good price action. It's treated me pretty well so far. And again, the biggest thing with these smaller coins, especially proof of work coins, is the community that comes behind it. And that's the difference between this and a bunch of these other smaller micro caps, right? Like a ton of these other ones I'm not messing with because chances are they're not even going to make it to the bull market, right? The difference is that even if the coin isn't the greatest tech in the world, a lot of times just the community itself will keep it afloat, right? A good example, again, no offense to your Raven guys, but it's like Raven, right? Doesn't really do a whole lot, doesn't really serve a big purpose, but it has a huge community behind it because of the mining aspect, right? So this is another one I'm looking at. So again, guys, just do your research, right? Research, look at the different coins you're looking at, whether it's, proof of work coins or whether it's, proof of stake coins, VC coins, NFTs or gaming, meta coins, whatever you're into. Start finding your niche, start consolidating, and start thinking about going into them a little bit harder, right? So now let's start talking about things that I'm going to be looking at this coming year. Especially, it's more towards the first half of the year, right? In the crypto world, it's hard to even really project like 3 months ahead of time, right? 3 months in crypto land is like a year. Like I just, looked it up for shits and giggles, but the freaking ETH merge, it's only been about 3 months. It feels like that was like last year. And I was talking about it in one of the other videos, and I referenced that as it being like last year. It was freaking 3 months ago. But again, just so much stuff happens in crypto that it's like ages you like crazy. It's insane. But the biggest thing I'm looking at in the GPU world are these releases actually. So specifically with NVIDIA, the 4060 and the 4070. The reason is because I think depending on how these are priced, depending on how these sell, that's really going to dictate the pricing of the GPU market. Especially for any of you guys looking at buying more 3000 series cards specifically for mining, right? If we see a higher price point with these, like if we see them in like, let's say the 470 comes in at like 600 plus, 649, 699, that keeps me more bullish on the price of the card staying high, right? Same thing with the 4060. The 4060 comes in at 499 and sells out instantly, and the street price is like 600 bucks. Then the prices of GPUs are probably going to stay fairly high, right? So this is going to be the big factor. These lower end cards, these next gen lower end cards are really going to dictate what happens with these 3000 series cards, right? Because right now, oddly enough, with this 4080 being released, it was priced so insanely high to the point where it's sold out anyways. I personally did not think the thing was going to sell out, but it has sold out. It's still hard to get. And I think that's what's keeping the prices high. Because actually, ever since it came out, and even the 7900 XTX, ever since those came out, the 3080s actually jumped in price a little bit, right? I think people were kind of waiting on those and hoping that we would get, maybe a 799 480 4080 or something like that. But because of this insane price, it's the people who were waiting on it decided, screw it, I'm just going to get a 3080, right? And that's what's been increasing the price. So same thing here. We now know the 4070 Ti is going to come in at 800 bucks. Okay? So now these prices are going to really, really determine whether people actually buy, instead of people who are thinking of upgrading, whether they buy these cards or they just say, screw it, I'll pay, $350 for a 3060 Ti instead. Because these things are $600 and they're selling out and I can't get it. So why am I going to waste my time, and I'm going to go that route? But on the flip side, if this 4060 comes in at $399 or $449, then we can definitely see those 3060 Ti's going down like the $250 range, right? Which it's pretty surprising that it hasn't, but the main reason is because these damn GPUs are so freaking expensive. The 4090 is still sold out. It's still, over $2,000 street price, which is crazy. And even with the 7900 XTX coming out, I thought, okay, maybe it'll go down, but look how fast that thing sold out, right? So again, when these lower end cards release, which looks like the rumor mill has it coming in sometime in March. Rumor is the 4070 will be February and the 4060 sometime in March, right? So again, just depending on those prices, how fast they sell out, which at this rate it looks like they probably are, right, is really going to dictate those lower end prices, okay? The other big thing in the GPU world we want to see is if we actually get more capitulation, right? Especially if it's brought on by this. If these come in cheap, then we can expect people to finally capitulate. We've slowly kind of been seeing it, and actually leading up to the 4080, like prior to that, they were going down pretty low. Like the 3060 Ti's were selling in closer to like between 220 to 275. Now though, it's again over 300. Like I've been seeing them now between 3 and 330 again, right? And it's just because people are fed up of these GPU prices, right? And they're fed up with waiting. A lot of these guys have been waiting like over a year to upgrade, okay? And then to deal with, these insane prices and these insane sellouts, they're just, picking up a 3080 or a 3090 or whatever, right? So this is going to be a big deal. See if we capitulate sometime in the spring or sometime in the summer as people finally give up. A lot of you guys are mining at a loss. I get it. And by that time, a couple of months is okay, but after 6, 7, 8 months, it's going to get old, right? So we'll see how long it takes for people to actually capitulate, or if it even happens, right? It seems like people are like hoarding these things. It's because it's hard to tell who's buying these cards currently. Is it miners that are hoarding up, waiting for the next cycle, or is it gamers who are giving up, right? When we're not going to really know until, again, these cards come out. These are going to be the biggest determining factor of the price, okay? And as far as, tech goes for GPU mining, one big thing I'm focusing on this year are ZK proofs, right? Projects that are going to be having those, right? Here's an article here regarding it. Okay, so this is not something that's like new. This is something that's been in the pipeline for a while. People have been talking about it. I mentioned a couple projects that are doing ZK proofs. Aleo talked about Ironfish a few months ago. Those are coins that are talking about it. Here's an article with Vitalik. This is from April 2020, right? This is him saying obsolete mining hardware could be used for zero-knowledge proofs. So again, this is something that Ethereum is big on. A lot of these other projects are big on. If you're not familiar with it, I would recommend reading about it, learning about it, because this is going to be a big deal this coming year, especially for this next bull cycle. Maybe not this coming year, because a lot of these projects won't go on mainnet till probably the end of 2023, but we're going to be hearing more and more about it, right? Another big thing in the GPU world is going to be with Flux, right? The biggest thing is the proof of useful work, okay? To me, this is going to be a big deal. We're going to see how they implement it. It's something new, right? It's going to be another way to use hardware. We'll see what compensation looks like. We'll see what, the hardware requirements are going to be. That's going to be the biggest thing. Because I don't think it's going to be like right now currently with mining where we can get away with these little 1x risers. Most of this is probably going to be, specific to like a high-end PC, or maybe you can make a higher-end PC that has a bunch of 16x slots, right? And utilize that hardware. Because another big thing that's been coming up lately, and I've been kind of like learning about ever since this chat GPT, the AI stuff has been coming out, is people building rigs for like deep learning, right? If you kind of go on forums, I've been kind of like reading about it, but there's a lot of people building rigs for it, right? They're like learning. It's kind of funny going in there because people are talking about building, these 3090 rigs with, 4 3090s on one board, and they're having issues with like heat and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny just seeing that those are all things that we've solved, we've gone through, but yet they're kind of like learning about it. But this is something that is going to be big. This might actually have a use case maybe right there for it, right? A lot of these, AI deep learning things require a lot of memory. Memory intensive GPUs are best suited for it. So that's why a lot of people, 3090s, 3090 Ti's, these 4090s, things of that sort. So this is something to keep your eye on, right? Because again, as miners right now, GPU mining right now isn't too profitable, but you got to keep your eyes open for things to change, right? And you got to be able to adapt to them, right? Another big thing with Flux is they're starting to use hard drives. Forget the name of it, Cumulus Fractus, I think I want to say. But that'll be coming out. I think they have a testnet right now, but officially I'm assuming sometime this coming year. So again, Flux has a lot of stuff going on, and they're definitely one I'm going to be following closely. It's just almost hard to keep up with them sometimes because they have so much development. Again, that's one of the biggest reasons I'm so bullish on them, is because there's just so much stuff going on. So now flipping into the ASIC world, right? Things I'm looking at in the ASIC world are the big thing are the KA3 release and that K7 release, right? From Bitmain. Main reason being is because essentially it's going to reset the entire hashing network, right? The hash rate, the difficulty is going to go through essentially a reset, right? These things are so much more efficient, so much density, right? One unit is just so much hash on the network. It's going to be crazy, right? And the biggest question is how many are they going to release? Not just on the initial release, but throughout the year, right? A lot of the speculation, the videos I've done are just for that initial launch. That's not factoring in that they're probably going to trickle out through the entire year, right? Even just right now, looking quickly at the Kadena chart, just from the current releases from Gold Shell, we can see in August it was anywhere in the 100, 120s, and it's currently, you could see the chart. I mean, you can see the growth, right? It's been at the hovering and around in the 200 range, and it's been here for a while, right? Because this is around the time that the KD Max, the KD6, and the IB Link, their max released, right? So this was this jump. So that wasn't even that crazy of a jump, especially compared to the KA3, especially if they dump like 5,000 of us, 5,000 of them on us. This thing is going to go, it'll double, triple, quadruple. We don't know. It's really just going to be factored in how many they release. And it's the same story with the K7. So same story with the nervosnetwork with CKB. They're going to have the exact same situation, right? So it's going to be a huge game changer. It's going to be interesting to see how much change happens, right? How profitable these guys are going to be, right? But again, I'm bullish on both of those projects. That's the reason I'm going in on those. I have both of them pre-ordered because then again, I'm hoping for like what happened in the past with like Kadena, right? Again, we've all seen those videos back in the day where a KD5 was making, $200 a day. Or I think Red Panda had a video about his old IB Link and how much he would have made if he would have kept it, right? In a sense, that's kind of the hope here, right? Is it probably going to happen? Probably not. Is it kind of a degen move? Yes. Is it a move I'm going to do, though, because I'm a degen? Yes. I'm going to take that calculated risk and go through with it, right? Because, again, even if the hash rate gets hit really hard, as long as it's profitable and I'm able to get at least 2 years out of it, even if it goes from producing, 40 plus coins a day down to, let's say, 5 coins a day in the bull market. But Kadena's at $20 at that point. Still potentially $100 a day, right? Again, it's really hard to predict the future, especially that far ahead, but those are the kind of scenarios I'm running in my head and the calculated risk I'm going to take by going through with it, right? Again, that's why like projections, thinking about things, researching are important, right? And that's part of the reason I say mining is borderline, especially right now. Mining right now is borderline a freaking degen play, right? And it's a calculated risk, right? But it's a huge risk, right? Because this can all go to shit if, Bitmain decides to release a 400 terahash monster next year, right? But again, that's the risk that you have to take. It's a much, much higher risk this early in the bear market, right? Once we hit maybe the end of 2024 or mid 2024, if whatever release comes out there, if a brand new release comes out, that's probably the most ideal time, right? Right before the big run up, maybe 6 months to a year before the big run up, because we know that that miner should still be relevant at that point. Okay. So these are all things you got to factor in. These are things you got to think about and go through with it, right? So the other big thing in the ASIC world is what happens with a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies, right? These really big farms. We've been seeing lately, I've done videos about them. Looks like some of them are going through bankruptcy. Some are able to, restructure their debt. They're surviving. But the real question is, how long are they going to be able to survive, right? A lot of these are more like temporary fixes. Are they really going to be able to make it through the whole year, especially if we get all this sideways action? Are they really going to be able to survive, right? To me, the real question is if they can make it through next summer. I think whoever gets established, whoever is able to survive the horrible summer, right? We are all miners here, so we know how horrible the summer is. Freaking heat sucks, but to me, that's going to be the biggest question. The ones who are able to survive all the way through that summer and make it to the end, I think those are going to be the ones that survive, right? The question is how many of those guys are going to go bankrupt? What is going to happen to the hash rate? What is going to happen to all those miners, right? So that's one big, big thing we got to keep our eyes on. And that's the reason I do news on them, right? So all those that are surviving right now, right? They got all these temporary loans. Some are barely surviving, but they're surviving. But are they really going to be able to survive a whole nother year? Remember, this downtrend wasn't even that bad, right? I mean, it was bad overall, but we still potentially have another year. We still may have potentially not hit the low yet, right? Chances are we're going to have a ton of sideways action. What the new low is going to be where we hit sideways, we don't know yet, right? There's a possibility we may stay in like the 18 to 20,000 range the whole next year. We might have a little run up, a little downtrend, but chances are we're going to be sideways if we go by the cycles, right? So this is a big thing to keep our eyes on. Another big thing for you miners, are for the 5 of you who are still into Helium, is the migration to Solana, right? It's going to be a big deal how they're able to transition. If it's successful or if it's crazy buggy and it nearly fails and Helium goes down to 5 cents, we don't know, right? It's a pretty big issue. People are kind of like, oh yeah, they're just going to go right over. That's a big transition. That's a big migration. That's something they got to carefully do. And it almost seems like it's getting rushed, right? This was just voted on not that long ago. They're, targeting Q1 for this to happen. So we'll see, right? It's something to definitely keep our eye on, see how it goes. I know a lot of people hate Solana, especially even before all this SBF nonsense because of how much it's gone down, et cetera, et cetera. But overall, if you've been mining or if you've been with Helium for a while, you know how much the Helium blockchain sucked, right? How about all the times Helium went down for days at a time? How about those times anytime you had to resync your miner, it took freaking days sometimes to see whether or not whatever you did fixed the damn miner. It was such a pain in the ass, right? Especially as it grew, it scaled horribly. Okay, people tend to forget that. So I'm bullish on the Solana move. Obviously, it would have been better with somebody else, but because we know the affiliation, the grouping they had with Solana, we knew it was going to happen. If something like this was going to happen, it was going to be with Solana, right? Because of those partnerships there. The other big thing with Helium to keep our eyes on is what happens with Helium Mobile, right? It's supposed to release sometime in Q1. Still haven't gotten the details as far as pricing. But the biggest thing is, what happens with Helium Mobile, that Solana phone releasing, and then what happens with the 5G network, right? Do we get more adoption? Do we get more use case? Do we get those cheaper prices we were promised, right? So these are all big, big things to keep your eyes on, right? There's a ton of stuff going on, guys. It's going to be all over from GPUs, ASICs, Helium, and even just in the financial world, right? A lot of huge things coming. A lot of people are calling for a deep, deep recession. We're already in a recession, but let's say a deeper recession, right? Or another black swan event, right? And then we're still waiting for that Fed pivot, which could be sometime Q1, Q2, Q3. We don't know, right? But a lot of stuff in the financial markets. Just a lot of stuff to look forward to, right? I know a lot of people have been, oh, mining is dead, all this stuff. It is not dead, right? GPU mining is sleeping, It'll come back, but probably not for a while. We'll see what happens there. ASIC mining is definitely still profitable, and I know a lot of people are giving helium shit right now, but my little helium miner is more profitable than my 10 card 3060 Ti rig, right? So keep that into perspective. Never would I imagine I'd be saying that, right? But here we are. Okay. All right, guys. I know it was kind of a long one, a lot of rants, but just wanted to give you some insight, hopefully some things to think about, right? Again, this is a huge, huge year. Okay, a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of stuff to research. Research the previous bear markets. Go back 4 years ago where we're at. Look at videos from that time frame, right? Look at the prices from that timeline. Keep that stuff in perspective. That if you're in it for the long haul, this is the time. This is the year. This is the time to do it. Okay, again, this is what I'm doing. Not financial advice, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Okay. So again, hopefully you guys got some good insight from the video, guys. Gave you something to think about, some things to consider. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Wish you guys all the best this coming year. And I am out.